What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here, and welcome to our daily show where we discuss the fourth stimulus check updates, what's going on in Washington, D.C., in the United States, money, investing, and the next stimulus package that is $3.5 trillion and is in the House of Representatives and in the final stages. And we also have to talk about the U.S. debt ceiling, which Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the U.S. government will run out of money sometime in October if Congress does not come to an agreement and raise the U.S. debt ceiling just so that the United States can pay the interest alone on past debts. And we're currently at a standoff right now because the House of Representatives just passed a vote, but the problem is the vote passed with all the Democrats, 220 Democrats voting yes, and all the Republicans voted no to raise the debt ceiling and to prevent a government shutdown that will happen on September 30th. And it's now going to go to the Senate. The problem is we need 10 Republicans to vote yes on this. And when the bill goes to the Senate, which could be today, well, if we don't get 10 Republicans to vote yes on it, well, at the end of this month, September 30th, we're going to have a government shutdown. And it's sometime in October, the government is going to run out of money and see the first ever government default, which is going to have catastrophic consequences like we have never seen before. A financial collapse. It would be the equivalent of the government running out of money or going bankrupt and saying the government has no money. Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, the House Speaker and Senate Majority Leader, has said that Social Security might not be able to make its payments. The military might not be funded. Anything that has to do with the government funding money, child tax credit payments, schools, literally anything that has to do with the money, the government funding money might not be paid. The government literally will run out of money in October if the debt limit ceiling is not raised. That's how serious the raising the debt ceiling is. Also, we're going to go over this video a potential $1,000 stimulus debit card. A very interesting idea that could be included in this next stimulus package. Yeah, we got a lot to talk about. The stimulus package, the infrastructure package, which is supposed to be voted on Monday, but we don't even know if the vote's going to take place. And we have some Democrats saying that the stimulus package is supposed to be passed before then. I'm going to give you the latest details on that. We got a lot to cover. First, here is Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen on if this debt limit ceiling is not passed. Here's what will happen. Check this out.
Defaulting on the national debt should be regarded as unthinkable. Failing to increase the debt limit would have absolutely catastrophic economic consequences. It would be utterly unprecedented in American history for the United States government to default on its legal obligations. I believe it would precipitate a financial crisis. It would threaten the jobs and savings of Americans, and at a time when we're still recovering from the COVID pandemic. I would plead with Congress simply to protect the full faith and credit of the United States by acting to raise or suspend the debt limit as soon as possible.
Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says, quote, "No one would be spared. The debt default would set off dire consequences in the United States like we have never seen before." The U.S. default date is an estimate that Congress wants and that she can't give. She can't actually give us an actual date of what day in October it will happen. But she thinks it'll be someday in October, whether it'll be October 1st, October 10th, October 20th, October 30th. We don't know that date yet, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says. So the problem is October 1st is 7 days away. Yeah, 7 days away. And a U.S. default would trigger historic financial crisis like we have never seen. The U.S. has never defaulted, ever. It would be like the U.S. government going bankrupt, filing bankruptcy, running out of money, and telling the entire world that the U.S. government cannot pay its debt. Now, we could just simply pass a bill, but the problem is the Republicans all voted no in the House. The Republicans are saying, Mitch McConnell, we had in a speech yesterday that he knows that we can't let this happen, and we can't. It would be the worst financial thing that could probably happen, short of maybe the Great Depression and back in all the way 1929. Would probably be the next worst thing that's ever happened. And he says that he knows that this needs to not happen, and then Democrats need to raise the debt ceiling on their own. For what reason is the only really reason he's gave is that he doesn't agree that the Democrats pass the third stimulus check package on their own and the next stimulus package that they want to pass. He just doesn't agree with that. So, because they're passing it on their own through reconciliation, even though Republicans passed things on their own through reconciliation, they passed the 2017 Trump tax cuts through reconciliation when the Republicans had control of the House, the Senate, and the presidency, and added over $2 trillion to the national deficit as well. They did that through reconciliation when they had control of everything. And the Republicans raised the debt ceiling 3 times in just 4 years underneath former President Donald Trump. You have to raise the debt ceiling every 1 to 2 years, depending on how long they extend the debt ceiling for. It's just something that has to be done. But Mitch McConnell agrees that we have to raise the debt ceiling. The Republicans are just they just don't want to do it. They just want to make the Democrats do it because the Democrats can do it through the reconciliation process, which is how they're going to pass the next stimulus package. The problem with this is that the reconciliation process, as you know, if you've been watching this channel for a while, is not just a simple process like this where you just pass it in the House, pass it in the Senate, and just vote on it, bing, bang, boom, and you're done. Like they voted on the bill in the House in the last 24 hours, and then they passed it to the Senate. It's not a very, very simple process like that. You have all these motions and motions to proceed, and it's this big, long, drawn-out process, and the bill for the stimulus package is probably going to be like 5,000 pages. You have all these motions and you have these specific amount of hours of debate and stuff you have to do. And and again, the bill is like 5,000 pages, and you have all these Democrats that you have people like Senator Joe Manchin that want the bill to be only $1.5 trillion. And in a way, this actually might speed up the package. But we have some Democrats that saying they're not even sure if they're going to be able to raise the debt ceiling in time to prevent the government shutdown here within the next 7 days. And October 1st is in 7 days as well. So the Democrats, we're starting to get, at first the Democrats are saying, no, we're not going to raise the debt ceiling on our own. We shouldn't have to do that. This should be a bipartisan thing. But now we're starting to get some Democrats that are saying, we'll do it if we have to, because it's really it's no big deal if the Democrats do it on their own. It's not like, it really doesn't matter if the Democrats do it on their own. It's not like, oh, okay, you made us do it on our own, we'll do it. But the problem is they might not be able to do it on their own simply because the reconciliation process takes some time. And we have a lot of Democrats that are like, well, we don't know about the bill. We want this in the bill. We want that in the bill. And we have some Democrats saying, well, I'm not going to vote for the bill if the SALT tax deduction is not in the bill. And then we have Joe Manchin saying, I'm not going to vote for the bill if the bill's not $1.5 trillion. Then we have other Democrats saying, well, I'm not going to vote for the bill if the physical infrastructure isn't passed first. And we have all these stipulations here. And meanwhile, the country could default in the meantime. And it's not that that anybody wants the country to default, you would think. But the Republicans are all voted no, and the Republicans all basically just voted to have the country default. And all the Democrats are all voted to let's not have a default in the standalone bill. Meanwhile, it's this high stakes game of chicken, and the only people that are going to potentially suffer is us, the American people, and the economy, while Congress plays this huge game of who's going to lose first. And it's going to be us, the American people. And it's sad. Meanwhile, Senator Bernie Sanders is pitching a $1,000 debit card for seniors to be added into the budget bill, almost like Bullet Bill and Mario. Yeah, $1,000 debit cards for seniors to be added into the budget bill, which in this case is the $3.5 trillion stimulus package. Yeah, check this out. Seniors could get $1,000 loaded onto a debit card for dental visits, hearing aids, or eyeglasses under a plan from Senator Bernie Sanders, an independent from Vermont. He calls himself an independent, but really he always votes with the Democrats, and he did run for president under the Democratic side. Whether you call him an independent or a Democrat is neither here nor there. The debit cards, which Senator Bernie Sanders calls vouchers, would be means tested for Medicare beneficiaries. The funds would be available to individuals making less than $75,000 per year and families with incomes under $150,000, similar to the rules for the stimulus funds during the pandemic. The money would be given out to seniors before planned new benefits can be rolled out, Senator Bernie Sanders said. That would ensure people in Medicare can pay for health services sooner than the government can offer them as a central part of the public health program. Quote, the goal is to provide dental care, hearing aids, and eyeglasses as soon as possible, Senator Bernie Sanders says. Sanders wants to tack the proposal onto Democrats' reconciliation package, the stimulus package, though lawmakers want to expand Medicare to include hearing, vision, and dental benefits. Under a House proposal, though, dental benefits wouldn't start until 2028. Yeah, and we're getting more information on that. That would be unfortunate if the dental benefits would not start until 2028. I believe the hearing and the vision benefits, one of them is going to start in as early as next year, 2022, and one of them is going to start in 2023. But we are starting to get some details that dental benefits might not start until 2028, which is honestly kind of ridiculous. But in a way, it is nice to see that Senator Bernie Sanders is looking to add additional stimulus items into the bill, like $1,000 debit cards for seniors. Let me know your thoughts on this. And honestly, we could have all sorts of different items like this and potential stimulus checks added into the bill here at the last moment. Remember that the second stimulus check was actually added in at the very last moment as well, even after they wrote the bill. The second stimulus check was the bill was wrote and didn't even have a second stimulus check in there. They wrote the bill, and then the people demanded that a bill be in there, and Senator Bernie Sanders himself actually, and at the time, Republican Senator Josh Hawley, when the Republicans controlled the presidency under former President Donald Trump and the Senate, Josh Hawley and Senator Josh Hawley and Bernie Sanders stepped forward and led the charge to include a stimulus check in the second package. And the third stimulus check package, they actually added in that unemployment tax break after the bill was written and the House passed it to include the $10,200 unemployment tax break provision, which actually gave anybody who had unemployment income last year, the first $10,200 of it was tax-free, which actually gave you an extra tax refund check or stimulus check, whatever you want to call it. And for most people, that was actually several $100s or several $1,000s, depending on how your tax situation was. So they are trying to add several different stimulus items like this $1,000 debit card stimulus voucher, or even a stimulus check can still be added in here at the last moment. There's all sorts of different stimulus items that they've been trying to negotiate on, and there's lots and lots of people and groups vying to add a fourth stimulus check in here still into this package. I will keep you up to date on all these items. Next up here is Democratic Representative Pramila Jayapal, who's the leader of the Democratic Progressive Caucus. She's been one of the leading people pushing for stimulus to be included in this bill. And remember that the progressives and the Progressive Caucus, which is about 100 Democrats in the House, remember the Democrats are passing the stimulus package all by themselves. Without any Republicans at all. Remember, the third stimulus check package was passed without a single Republican vote as well. The Progressive Caucus wants the bill to actually be more than $3.5 trillion and wants to have more stimulus items. Here's their thoughts on the stimulus package and the infrastructure package. Here's Pramila Jayapal.
We're seeing these divisions in the Democratic caucus. Is there any wiggle room on this pledge not to vote for the bipartisan bill unless you see a vote on the larger bill that Democrats only are championing?
Brianna, thanks so much for having me on. I actually think about it as we're seeing the tremendous unity around the president's agenda. That's what the Progressive Caucus is about, is making sure that we deliver the entirety of the president's agenda to his desk for his signature so that we can make sure that women are able to get back into the workforce, so that we can make sure that we can have health care and housing. Those are the things, fighting climate change, that are in the reconciliation bill. They are the things that the president came and outlined to us in his Build Back Better agenda when he spoke to Congress. So this is the Democratic agenda, and anyone that doesn't want to vote for the Build Back Better plan is frankly halting the promises that we made to voters when they elected us. For the Progressive Caucus, the most important thing is we deliver the whole thing. And so when the deal was made coming out of the Senate that the bipartisan infrastructure bill would pass, the deal was also made that the reconciliation bill would pass at the same time. We are just holding to that promise and saying that we will not be able to vote for the bipartisan bill until we've got the reconciliation bill passed. And I think you heard the speaker say we're all working very hard to get the reconciliation bill done. We hope that can happen, but obviously we need the Senate to do its part as well, because this is going to be one pre-conference bill, as they say. So we're not going to do separate bills in the House and the Senate. We need everyone to agree.
Yeah, so the Democratic leaders are racing towards a Monday infrastructure vote on the physical infrastructure bill. This is the $1.2 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi promised that the vote would be on Monday, the 27th. So she had to promise the moderate Democrats in the House that they would vote on Monday, the 27th. The problem is that it's not really a good time to do this because the bill could fail if they force a vote on this day. And here's why. It's a couple different headlines here for you. 11 senators from the Senate, Democratic senators, are urging the House to pass the $3.5 trillion stimulus package before the physical infrastructure bill. A group of 11 Democratic senators is urging the party leadership to stay on course with its original, quote, dual-track plan to pass the $3.5 trillion social spending bill, aka the stimulus package, in both chambers, the House and the Senate, before taking up the bipartisan infrastructure deal in the House. Senate Budget Committee Chairman Bernie Sanders joined Senator Cory Booker, Kirsten Gillibrand, Mazie Hirono from Hawaii, and Elizabeth Warren and others in issuing this statement on Wednesday afternoon. The senators said they would vote to pass the nearly $1 trillion infrastructure bill in August with the clear commitment that the deal would move alongside the Democrats' larger spending plan. We also have other progressives saying they plan to vote against the bipartisan infrastructure bill next week if the stimulus package doesn't pass before the physical infrastructure package. So this is the problem, is that the stimulus package was supposed to pass before the physical infrastructure package. We just don't know if there's going to be enough time. Remember, it's not that they don't want to pass the stimulus package in the House before Monday. It's just that these things take time. The bill's thousands and thousands of pages. We don't even know how many thousands of pages, probably 5,000 pages. And it's got to go through this whole reconciliation process, and they're trying to get it done as fast as possible. And then you got the whole Senate to deal with, like Senator Joe Manchin, who even knows, he's a huge wild card. Who even knows what he's going to do? And then you're going to have a whole bunch of amendments at the last minute, like people trying to add stimulus checks in that at the last minute. Senator Bernie Sanders trying to add in $1,000 stimulus debit cards at the last minute. And who knows what they're going to try to add at the last minute. There's going to be a lot of jiggy jockeying, for lack of a better word, at the last minute. People saying, this needs to be added in. This needs to be added in. This needs to be taken out. I don't like this. I don't like that. There's always a lot of movement at the very last moment of people saying, I'm not going to vote for it if this is in there. I'm not going to vote for it if that's in there. We already have some of that. The salt tax needs to be removed. HBCUs need to be, all these different things we're already getting a lot of that right now. So, and remember, you need every single Democratic senator to say yes, and 99% of the Democratic House representatives say yes, because not a single Republican is going to say yes. Okay. It'd be a lot easier if we had any Republicans voting yes on this next stimulus package to, give stimulus to the American people, or if we had any Republicans saying, yeah, we want to raise the debt limit because we have to, or the government would default. Uh, the worst catastrophic thing to happen to our economy possibly ever. I mean, we just heard the Treasury Secretary say that, right? But, of course, we're not going to get a single vote from any Republicans. So it's like we have to do everything the hard way, go roundabout, over the woods, through the woods to grandma's house, and like do it the triple back over reverse backflip way to get the gold medal and hope it's all done in time before the government defaults, right? And that's like how we have to do it, right? And if not, the government defaults and like the whole American economy and everybody watching here is going to be the one that hurts. And that's the game that Congress is playing here. And I mean, you can tell me your thoughts because I'm just here reporting things. It's just they had a vote in the House. All the Democrats voted to raise the debt ceiling and to not have a government shutdown. All the Republicans voted no. So that passed the House because the Democrats can pass that on their own. It's now going to go over to the Senate, which could happen today. But if we don't get 10 Republicans to vote yes, you need 60 votes to pass that without the reconciliation process. That's going to fail. That's going to fail. So then we're going to be back to square one where government shutdown is going to happen on September 30th at midnight. And then at some point in October, which we don't know the day, says Janet Yellen, who's the Treasury Secretary, the leader of the U.S. Treasury, government's going to run out of money. And when the government runs out of money, that means that the U.S. government has no money. When the U.S. government has no money, it literally means that. The U.S. government has no money. Now, what that means, we don't even know what that means because it's never happened before. It's never happened before. Now, theoretically, Social Security has its own trust fund, but on October 1st, the government's going to be shut down. So the government's going to be shut down for all non-essential personnel, and then the government's going to run out of money at some point. Whether that's going to affect Social Security, Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer put out a statement that it could. I mean, we're hoping that this is not going to happen. We're also hoping this is not going to affect the military. They already said this could affect school services. This will affect state services, they said. It's going to get terrible. So we want to hope that Congress is going to do its job, but at some point they're going to have to pass a bill. Either Republicans and Democrats are going to have to come together, or the Democrats are going to have to pass it on their own if they can, if they're going to even be able to do this in time, which who knows if that's going to happen. Or they're going to maybe have to print a $1 trillion coin, as I discussed in yesterday's video. I'll link you to that video here in a moment if you didn't see that. That's a very interesting proposition, which they might just have to do that just as a temporary measure to just temporarily get us by for temporary, just to fund the government with $1 trillion. Wouldn't that be very interesting to do that? We saved the day with $1 trillion. It would be very interesting. Can you imagine if that's how they saved the day, just as a temporary measure? Yeah, I'll link you to that video here from yesterday if you didn't see how to do that. But yeah, so make sure to subscribe down below. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Subscribing is completely free to do so. Don't miss out on any videos at this point because I will keep you up to date with the government debt ceiling, government defaulting, the government shutdown, which is going to happen on October 1st or September 30th at midnight, the next stimulus package, $3.5 trillion, and the physical infrastructure package. Yeah, there's a lot, and I'll keep you up to date with everything as it comes out every day, 3 times a day. So click here to watch my newest video on how the government could print a $1 trillion coin to avert this crisis. If you haven't clicked that, it could be interesting. Or click here to see how President Biden is in favor of raising Social Security benefits. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks, guys, and I will see you in the next video.